I'd be lucky if Highimpactflix actually watches this, okay? Let's talk about something I believe is really important. I love your community. I love your videos. I love your work. I've been following you for years, first of all, okay? And this is evident. You can see on some of my channels I've mentioned you. I talked about you recently when I went on calling Mark Passio. But I love your work. You've been in my liked videos for years, so that's you can see that on my other channel. But anyways, if you want proof. Anyways, I have something to really share with you, and I know you have a sense of humor, so I'm just like kind of like joking around. But you've been connected to a lot of the independent media communities. You're very outspoken. You're very connected to your community. So I figured I could just put out a video like this because I know you'd probably be open to perhaps what I have to say. Like, what's a message for Highimpactflix? What I have to share is something I believe can really unify and create change for humanity. And I've been sharing this with a lot of people. If you look on my channel, I have some documentaries. If you go to a website I created actually about this, it's called NITA.one. And I believe it to be the most unifying generational blueprint that can actually change the world. And I'm not even kidding. And being that you're somebody who I know is a more principled anarchist, if you will, I go into the meaning of what anarchy actually means for individuals, just so they're not distorted. I know that, well, you don't necessarily believe in this entity, and I can actually very well agree with that. First of all, I just want to put that out there. Now, how do you reach that state of more freedom, if you will? It's harder to do so immediately, right? I mean, we need a transition for humanity to go from the state we are now to this crazy state that is becoming farther by the day, if anything, being that you see communism on the rise in all its forms, Marxism, socialism, etc., and you have all the Zionist bankers. Like, we understand this, right? We know this. And so I don't want anybody to make any crazy assumptions about me. I'm very much on the same level, I'd say, as most of the community, which is why I'm reaching out. Perhaps from what I see, I think your community is very open. I'm on the Discord as well, so that's why I know. But basically, aside from producing health content myself, this is a way to necessarily heal the world. I mean, because if you're freeing the world, you're essentially healing the world. Your people are becoming more self-sustainable. They're taking more care of their health. They're becoming more self-defensive. They realize the power that they have as human beings because the power is now actually in their hands instead of some politician or somebody else. And this movement's really centered on this, by the way. Instead of pointing the finger at somebody else, they're pointing the finger right at themselves and saying, I need to take responsibility of this life I have here, especially if I want to change it. So this movement is based on, well, if you change yourself, you're changing the world elsewhere. And that's, I think, the beauty of it, is that, well, we can change the world one step at a time, and I think it's important to reach out to people who I believe are genuine, who I believe have great communities, such as yourself, who would be able to have a good amount of influence about promoting a cause. We need to unite under one banner if we want to seek unity, I feel, because you have so many people in independent media. Some people are attacking each other in independent media. Does that help the cause? I mean, it's good to hold each other accountable for sure, but also, most of us at the end of the day just agree on the simple things, right? Like, we want to live our lives in peace, we want to be free, we want to have families, we want to be successful in life, and that doesn't necessarily mean through fiat currency paper, obviously, printed by the Fed. So, like, we all get this, right? But then we can unify around that. Have we? And how do we demonstrate that to the people who aren't awake? How do we get them to wake up instead of staying in our echo chamber, which independent media I see often sometimes does? So we do have to be careful with that. This is like me kind of holding everybody accountable, and including myself, because this movement's not about me, right? It's about all of us. It should be. And so this movement, if you went to the website NITA.one, you'd see, well, it's got a flag, right? And that's like the first step, is you represent with a flag. So it's like, okay, first of all, why do we have a flag to do this? It's to represent our presence. It's to be present for itself, to stand for us, while we stand for the truth. I make this very clear, and I detail this in 35 plus hours of documentaries, that if you go to disclaimers on the website, you could see a whole bunch more stuff about this and saying, well, I don't seek any finances from this, etc. So I try to make it very clear, very distinct, very concrete. What's on the front page of the website is essentially the premises, what I consider the principles, the foundations, the set in stone principles that we can all agree upon, hopefully, with understanding and reasoning, which I know we can, so I shouldn't say hopefully, but I say hopefully because it depends how much people use the reasoning, understanding, and talking to other people. So it depends on us and how we talk to our neighbors, which is why we can actually create change right now. We're not waiting on anybody to do it. We're not waiting on me to do it or you to do it, but rather encouraging everybody does it within their own town, their own community. Look, to me, I think we're in a point of desperation. We need change because of how crazy the world is going. But we need change in a way that we know is innately correct, so that of what is in alignment with the natural law. I'm sure you're familiar with the works of Mark Pasio, for example. I've seen, your past videos talked about his slides. And I know you had a lot of past videos actually that were really good, and a lot of them taken down. Sorry to hear that, and you've been very influential. So I really I just want to say props to you and everything you've done. I mean, you were the one who actually woke me up to statism first, before anybody else, if I may say. But the point is that we all have this amazing ability, right, to share information, and in knowledge, right? Education, you see how powerful that is and how you create that differential. And if we have the knowledge, then automatically their power starts to disintegrate. And see, if we can promote and integrate into such a system, I believe that we can disintegrate and demote such a system. So we need to have natural law essentially in a circulation among life, where it's common knowledge, which is what it is, right? Common sense, critical thinking, so forth, which is also disappearing in today's modern world, no surprise with all the modern influences, but it rises with natural law, with understanding, with wanting to actually put effort into something and seek our personal destinies. And then all of a sudden, wow, we become more creative. Wow, we actually have greater health because now we're living our destiny. This is actually comes with many personal benefits. So if people are scared to go out and talk to their neighbors or talk to the communities, I encourage you and say, well, hey, this comes with many personal benefits that you'll meet everybody. I mean, you might just become the natural mayor in town, the natural leader. But you're not going to accept leading over your fellow men because you are a good person at heart, right? You want to bring them up. You want to enlighten them. You're the light mason, breaking down the bricks, the maverick, I think some people call it, where you're just helping everybody rise up instead of using them to rise yourself up, your own ego, right? It's not about left brain or right brain dominance. It's about bringing us all up into the centrist worldview, which nature, by the way, is universal. Universal in religion, universal in, now we see politics with law. Hey, by the way, universal medicine, it is the medicine of the universe. Natural medicine is the medicine. Okay, so all the different aspects, you have it. We learn a lot from nature. I see my lights down here, so I'm just going to get darker and darker. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you consider what I have to offer here. I feel like the only way we can unify, and I've done this through many speculations. You can look at my documentaries. I even have graphs and depictions of this. My 6-step speculation says exactly how you do it in order. Okay, how if we're going to teach natural law, if we're anywhere near real capitalism, real free market, real trade and so forth, real self-responsibility, self-governance and so forth, there's steps to get there, and it starts with creating conversation. Even Mark and Rose did a video called The Solution, where you have to talk with people, because that is the solution. It's not about doing all this crazy stuff, taking arms to the government. It's not about doing that. What's going to create the change is you talking to other people and defeating that belief system that's holding them and binding them into place. You see it, it's the roots to this world. And if we're going to defeat that, we have to talk with others, we have to create a presence. And I believe that under a banner we can do so. If we have a blueprint set in stone, we can do that. And that's why I thought over this. This is not something I just arose out of the recent protests and stuff. I thought about it beforehand. And that's why I waited to talk to people when the protests were going on, because I don't want people to think otherwise of me and think, that I'm making accusations again. But I assume, I know that people make accusation stuff. It is bravery, it is fear that I'm facing, okay, here to do what I gotta do. But I know that by facing my fears, it's gonna bring us what we want. So you have to face your fears, and you will have a lot of benefits out of it. Yeah, you'll probably get attacked and so forth, but I mean, look at Trump, right? He got attacked, more popular. And I'm not saying that that's something we want, but you have to question, right? What's controversial, truth, hard to face, yet so appears itself through time. What we know to be is true, and if we know that we're promoting the truth, do you think that we are going to keep moving on because we know it to be true, and we see it to be true, and we lived and saw it, and felt it all around us that it was true? That if people just got together, anything is possible? That overnight things can change, like you say in your videos, where if we just talk to one person, shared one video with another person, and it just keeps spreading on? How do we get those ideas of the many people out to the many masses who are also in the dark? It's through understanding, through being open, through having family members talk with them, healing inside out, getting the people who are in power, their families, talking with them and talking about how, well, they can just leave that system, and how without us, such system cannot be in place. And how we're just living our nature. We want to be living as intended, as we ought to be. So thank you very much, Highimpactflix. I really appreciate this. If you watched it, or anybody part of the community, I would love if you can share this video with him. I believe it's necessary if we want to unify humanity and actually create real change. This is something I stress a lot, because they don't have a blueprint in independent media to do this, and nobody's unifying under one agenda to do this. There's no one counter agenda like that opposes this one main agenda that seeks to just destroy us all, and destroy the human, destroy the consciousness. So without getting caught up on too many different labels and isms, can we just at least simply agree on natural law and natural medicine and natural rights, and uphold natural families and what is essential for this universe? Or are we going to keep going into the mystic confusion where we don't even know who to be anymore? And that's who we become. We become confused, and robots take our place. We think they're conscious, and we can't think for ourselves. We can't speak for ourselves anymore because it's been too late, and we didn't take action while we could. We didn't use our human nature while we could. So thank you for watching. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, and I really appreciate it if you did. I hope you consider this message, and if you do really like what I have to say here, I suggest the best way for content creators would be to put the link of the website in the thumbnails, description, whatever it may be. You probably will have a better way of doing it. You be creative however you wish. I want people to be inspired from this, to create for themselves, to have their messages about within this greater message at hand that we all have. Okay, this is for all of us, and that's why I'm reaching out for other people, is because it's not about me. It's about having all of us together, and that's what's going to help unify and really change this world. And I believe that people in independent media do have great power and influence through knowledge, and if they use their understanding and reasoning, they can become amazing, as they have been. But if we have a blueprint to reach the many who don't see our information, or reach practical goals and actions to do so, then we can change this world if we really understand what those actions are to partake in. So I'm here to deliver guidance, not to lead. I consider people people who are guides, not leaders, because why would we want to rule over our fellow men? We just want to help them. We just want to help other human beings because we care. We have heart. We have an empathy. Okay, we're not a psychopath. But, all right, thank you. This is Cory Angelati, Nature Standards here, NITA.1. Thanks.